Welcome back to the channel. So recently I had a few of my friends ask me how I make my garments, if I'm having somebody drop ship them or if I am having somebody screen print them. And I actually am making my garments from home using DTF. And yes, it's not the DTF that you think it is, okay? DTF is an awesome method to make clothing at home, especially for beginners. Basically, in layman's terms, you're printing out your design and then heat pressing it onto a piece of garment. Now, the reason why I didn't end up going with screen printing was because I had some bad experiences with it in the past. When I first started, I went on my journey to find a business that would be able to print my designs onto my shirts that I had. A huge problem that I faced was that a lot of them wouldn't just do 5 t-shirts for me to sample them and make sure they're actually going to sell. No, they all require you to have maybe at least a minimum of 50 shirts per order. And I was kind of pushed up against the wall at this point because I was like, do I do it and then risk it and maybe they won't sell, or what am I gonna do? So I did end up risking it, and they printed my shirts out. It was pretty expensive. And then to top it off, the shirts didn't even come out the way that I wanted them to. The colors weren't as vibrant, and it just overall wasn't a great experience. I don't mean to talk bad about it, but for me it just wasn't for me. So I decided to just take the matter into my own hands and figure out a way to get it done with good quality and a way that I can control how it comes out and how it's going to look. And that's when I found DTF. Now, you might be asking why I didn't just screen print myself, and to be honest, I did think about it. I looked into it, and screen printing kind of requires a lot of space and a lot of materials. And I don't have all that space to, just give up willy-nilly. I have a 1-bedroom apartment, so I wasn't looking forward to investing in all of that equipment. And also, I'm not really fond of how screen printing feels. This is not a shirt of mine, but a shirt just of an example of what screen printing feels like. The colors are beautiful, they're amazing, but it's just really thick, and I'm not a fan of it. So this is an example of what DTF looks like. It is also very beautiful, also very vibrant, so you get that in both of them. And it's a lot thinner, in my opinion. It's lightweight and exactly what I was looking for, so that's why I decided to go with DTF. It was better for me and my business, but again, just choose whatever works best for you. Alright, so we're going to print a design on this tote bag so I can walk you guys through the process. What we're going to need is this DTF transfer adhesive powder, a Teflon sheet, a lint roller, our garment, in this case a tote bag, and some DTF ink. And then you're going to need some transfer sheets and a heat press. So here's my DTF printer. The temperature that you have your printer set at really just varies on the printer that you have. And this is the housing for the ink. You want to give the ink a really nice shake before you start printing, just to activate the ink. You want to make sure that your transfer sheet is on the right side up. In this case, the matte side is my right side up, but you may have transfer sheets that have both matte sides. If you scratch one of the sides and you get white residue, then you're on the right side. And then I also want to mention that you want to also have your room set at the right temperature for your ink, because that's how you'll get the best results. In my case, my room is set at 77 degrees and 35% humidity. My prints typically take about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the size of my design and the complexity. Now I'm going to put some adhesive powder on this. I usually do about 2 coats, just kind of wave it back and forth. And then I'm going to cure it with the hover method on my heat press. Usually people cure it with a curing oven, but if you don't have an oven, that's okay. You just set your heat press to 350 degrees and then let it hover over the design for 90 seconds. And then you also want to lint roll the surface just to get any little particles off. And then we will heat press the wrinkles out for about like 5 seconds. Now you can place your design however you'd like. Make sure it's centered and it looks great. Then you put the Teflon sheet on top to protect it from sticking to your heat press. And now you let it cool. Some of these transfer sheets you can peel when they're still hot, but in my case, I have to wait for it to cool down. So it takes about like 2 minutes. And then I peel it off slowly just to make sure that everything is stuck on. And as you can see, it's peeling off really nicely. Those colors look super bright. And now it's time to do a finishing press. Typically, I do it for about 10 to 15 seconds just to remove any excess adhesive powder and to make sure that the design sticks really well to the garment. For the finishing press, you can peel off the Teflon sheet when it is still hot, and you'll be able to tell how well the design came out. This is one of my favorites. The colors are so bright and so beautiful. Wow. I love it. This is an old hoodie of mine that I used the DTF process on. I've washed it about probably 20 times already, and it hasn't cracked at all. Like, you can tell that I've used it because my hoodie is a little bit faded, but the design itself looks great. It's super sturdy and still really bright. This is another thinner type of garment that I use the DTF method on, and it came out looking phenomenal. And I was also able to do it on a beanie, which is a completely different kind of texture of fabric, and it worked. So the possibilities are endless with DTF. I hope this video helped you and that you understand the DTF process a lot better. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Also, if you're interested in seeing any of the products that I used, I'll link those below. But that about wraps it up. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys later.